See all those buildings? Most of them are empty, and there's some more. And you can see Salesforce Tower there. And I was studying this thing called assume the wish fulfilled, right? And the whole idea is that you use your imagination to assume the wish fulfilled, and you build an image in your imagination about what it would look like, what it would be like if those things in your imagination came true. And a lot of times I think, well, why don't we take these buildings and turn them into apartments, right? Because we know they're empty. Mayor Lurie's over there talking about how we're back and San Francisco, let's go San Francisco. And he's been talking about, he has a whole PR campaign regarding all the businesses that's coming back to San Francisco, and he goes around all the different neighborhoods. And this is a beautiful park, by the way, isn't it? I'm going to take a walk through here. He talks about all that, and he's got this family zoning thing that he's been proposing. I think him and the Board of Supervisors have proposed it, so they were going to build out the west side of San Francisco with, or is it the east side? I know it's the west side. And basically just build, up to 6 stories of what he's calling affordable housing, family housing, right? And it's not going to be affordable. And it's just sort of like a land grab, because they'd have to demolish some of the buildings in order to do that. And anyway, it occurred to me with this whole idea of assume the wish fulfilled, that we could just turn these buildings into apartments. And I know there's all kinds of people that say, well, no, they're not zoned for housing and blah, 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 right? And I used to work as a security guard. See, here's that could be a lot of housing right there. I used to work as a security guard many years ago, or I guess they call it a security officer or whatever. And I worked in these high rises, and I don't know if you've ever seen a whole floor of a high rise, where the demo people come in and just wipe it all out so they can remodel it. And I had this idea that you could take these modular homes that you have, they have these modular homes, and you could just gut one of these floors and probably put some modular homes in there and rent those things out for we'll go back to 1996 prices and charge $600 a pop. And you could have one floor be services, maybe laundry. You could have one floor be retail stuff, and you could have other floors be housing. A lot of young people and older people, any kind of people, would really enjoy living in San Francisco. And I don't see what the difference is. When I worked in those offices as a computer programmer, there was lots of times sometimes I spent the whole night working, so what's the difference if I'm working in my office the whole night or if somebody's sleeping in there? Who cares, right? And then you wouldn't have to have such a thing as a family zoning legislation, where they say, well, let's just have this family zoning thing, and we'll build affordable housing units. Basically, they're not going to be affordable. But if you took all these buildings, and I'm just at the Embarcadero, this is Embarcadero 1, I think, and we got Embarcadero over here, Embarcadero 2, and if you just converted, I don't know how many housing units you could make, but the buildings are already here, right? So you could totally do that and flood the market with $600 rent, $600 a month rent. Just flood San Francisco with all those units, and that will bring the price of housing down, right? I might just take a little walk down here. Now it is Sunday, so it'll be a little bit empty in the first place for the stores and stuff. But let me just take a walk through Embarcadero Center, just briefly, and show you. Well, here's a store that's open. You know, I haven't been in here for a while, so I just want to see. This one looks like it's totally gone, right? You could turn that into housing. Totally, you could do that. There'd be no reason why you couldn't do it. And then here's a little store called Cheeky Bits. Well, there's nobody in here. I think it's because it's Sunday. Okay, but you can't tell me. You could not convince me if these office buildings are empty, that there's going to be people coming down here to go shopping, right? So let's just take a look. You know, here's a Crane. What's that? Photography or something like that. I think it's. Well, let's just take a look. Looks like some kind of greeting cards and stuff. You know, this one looks like it's kind of empty. I don't exactly know what it is, or maybe it's not empty. It's certainly closed. This is where teams thrive. This is look like a, maybe it's some kind of this is like a furniture store, or is it turnkey offices? I see. You know. Anyway, I'm just looking. Anyway, excuse me. With that whole assume the wish fulfilled, you could use your imagination to come up with some kind of ideas, and we all have great imaginative powers if we use them. And then we just do it. And San Francisco has a lot of these signs around that say speak up, right? They say speak up, and of course it doesn't seem to matter how much you speak up. They're not listening, because everyone's saying, look, the problem in San Francisco is it's expensive to live here, and look at all these buildings. And I'm telling you, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am, because I think the last time I looked, there's an organization called Cushman and Wakefield, and they did a study on real estate and all that kind of stuff, and vacancy rates. And the vacancy rate is still above 33% in these downtown office buildings, right? And so I'm just going to walk up here to some of these buildings down here, because San Francisco, if we say that we're the leader in AI, right? We're the AI capital of the world, and anyone with half of a brain would be able to know that if you implement all this AI stuff, for instance, here's one of those Waymo cars, driverless cars, right? It doesn't take much imagination to realize that people's jobs are going to be, we're in flux right now. A lot of jobs are going to go away because AI is going to do them. So if we're the leader that we say we are, then we would put something in place. This is a beautiful building right here. This is 101 California. We could put something in place that says we take all the revenue that's being generated through all this AI stuff, and we use that instead of looking at it from, how is everyone going to earn money in the age of AI? And if we turn that around and said, look, if we're going to have AI replace human beings, then there's a certain amount of GDP generated by these AI systems and robots. And instead of let's just have a few people making a bunch of money, we could take that revenue and we could house people. And they could use their creativity to come up with some kind of jobs. I don't know what they are yet, that are going to keep people occupied. You just can't have people doing nothing, right? Because that basically, if you have a lot of people, what do they say? Idle hands is the devil's workshop. And you can see a pretty empty streets. Of course, it is Sunday, like I said. But like that big brick building over there, I bet you half of that is empty. How about this one over here? And this one? All these buildings, someone should look into it. Because these people that work in government, they're our representatives. It isn't that They're one they're one segment of the economy, and we're some other segment of the economy. Those people in government are here to represent the people. And so when they say, oh, we're going to provide this and that, they're not providing shit. It's our tax money. It's our tax money that's funding their jobs, and they're supposed to be doing things that take care of society. So like I said, if San Francisco is going to be a leader in AI, and AI is going to be taking away a lot of jobs, then it seems to me that the representatives in San Francisco should be a model for the country. Instead of saying, hey, we're going to help these people that are homeless for whatever reason, we're going to help them get off the street and spend billions of dollars doing that. And once we get them up off the street and we get them into whatever kind of treatment or whatever it is they need, and they still can't afford to rent a place, then it's just perpetual nonsense. It's just a perpetual socialist state. Okay, so as we enter this age of AI, I think there's some other ideas we could use. Like here's the PG&E building on Beale Street. I used to work in this building too. And most of that is probably empty. And those places, here's another one, 425 Market. I think that's 425 Market. I used to work in all these buildings. Probably most of that is empty. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know the statistics. Over there is where the Chevron used to be. Well, they moved out. Okay, so we have all of this real estate that could be turned into housing. And that is what I think we ought to do. I just do. I just think that would be something to look at, right? Instead of I guess the battle cry now is, excuse me, the battle cry now is our healthcare premiums are through the roof, right? So that's the battle cry. That and all the homeless services. We need homeless services, but we never turn around and really look. Getting back to the assume the wish fulfilled, getting back to some kind of a place in my imagination anyway, that would have all those doctors and nurses and dentists and healthcare workers and all that as all of us boomers get older, we're going to need that kind of healthcare and stuff. And if the cost for that just keeps going up because it needs to go up so these people can afford housing, then it's just we're just going nowhere. We're just going around in circles. So I think we look at the wrong things sometimes. We look at the problem, in this case, healthcare premiums and affordable housing, but we never get to the heart of the matter, which is why don't we create housing at all these buildings? And then why don't we tell the developers that, hey, if you can use robotics and whatever to build housing that's cheaper to build, then why shouldn't the people be able to pay less for their housing, since housing is a necessity? So housing and healthcare are both necessities. So anyway, so that's my little talk for the day, for this morning. I hear some fire engines over there. I don't know. Or maybe it's it's police. They're probably after God knows who, because San Francisco's so safe, right? And it is probably safe. Here's a little closer look at the 101 California. A beautiful building. I remember when they built this. Beautiful. It's a beautiful lobby. Look at the lobby. It's just beautiful. Tall ceilings there. These great big trees inside. And up here they have little places where people could sit. I'm just going to walk over here so you can see, because it really is nice. It's beautiful. In fact, I worked in this building, and we kind of had a little bit of a falling out when I was working here, and they ended up moving me to the graveyard shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And instead of being inside there where it's cozy and warm inside the lobby, they stuck me on the loading dock. on a little swivel chair, and the swivel chair was right next to the dumpster. My God. And they were trying to get me to quit, I guess. But I really needed the money. But oh well, they've kind of fixed this up. This used to be a lot of seating area. It looks like they've turned it into more like a garden space. This is beautiful. Very nice. But anyway, all of this could be transformed. I think we've gone past the, see, there's a bunch of buildings over there. We've gone past the point where the model is, let's build a bunch of skyscrapers so that the corporations can bring their people here. Like, why in the world would anyone want to commute into San Francisco from the East Bay to work in one of these offices, pay $10 to come over the bridge, right? And then spend $25 on lunch. And then if they drive in, maybe they have to have parking. They have to park their car someplace, right? So that whole model needs to be, well, not needs to be, but it could be replaced by whatever kind of imaginative ideas that we come up with as human beings, right? And I think there's a lot of imaginative ideas that we could come up as human beings and still do the AI bullshit, right? Because that's what it's turning into. When they say San Francisco is the capital of AI, my God, people, you could do this stuff in your living rooms. And I'll have a link in this wherever I have a YouTube channel, and I'll put a link also to a Zoom where you could book a Zoom call with me. I have Zoom calls in 15-minute increments, Monday through Friday in the evenings. And you can book a call and we can talk about this stuff, because I'd love to hear your ideas and I'd love to kind of brainstorm with you. And I also do have a bit of experience with technology and AI stuff. And we can really create some solutions that work for everybody. It's so possible. Remember, again, assume the wish fulfilled. Go into your imagination in a quiet space and just imagine what the world would be like. For instance, if we flooded San Francisco with thousands of housing units, we don't need to build them out. We don't need to go out to the west side of the city and demolish buildings and ruin neighborhoods, take people's homes away, and build 6-story structures that nobody can afford. And San Francisco then turns into a city of the wealthy only. That's what I have in my imagination, is that we build something different. We build something for the young people, because as you know, I'm not a young person anymore. And it's all about the young people. Like, what kind of a city is San Francisco going to be for the young people if we just let it continue as it's going? So as Daniel Lurie would say, let's go San Francisco. And boy, I hope that he does something historic, because we need something historic done. And right over here is my bus stop. Take me back to Chinatown. Okay, talk with you later.